Okay, mine apparently is working.
I guess mine is working.
All it has is just a single little waveform. I guess that means it's working.
And a picture of a dildo.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's like a ferret or something.
Yeah, it's a very cute little ferret.
Welcome to RPG Book Club Movie Nights, the podcast where we watch a movie that kind of, maybe only a little bit, has anything to do with the video game we've played. And this week, we're probably going to talk about how it makes us feel, and that feeling is confused and angry. But I am Sam Allman.
I'm Elias Sneezy Eli Warren.
And I'm Mighty Grace Webben, and I will say, I don't know what y'all are talking about. I thought this movie ruled. And also, weirdly enough, okay, I won't say it was more than just tangentially related to the game we just played, but if you take the RPG Book Club oeuvre as a whole, especially a game that we haven't played yet, that I won't say what it is, I think it's very relevant.
Yes. Yeah, we are talking about Upside Down from 2012. And if you've
hate that name. I honestly hate the movie's name.
And if you've never heard of this movie, I don't blame you. I actively worked in a movie theater and made the Movie Times PowerPoint presentation every single week in the year of 2012, and I've never heard of this movie.
Again, I find that funny because
Kirsten Dunst in it.
Again, I think it's funny. I 100% had heard of this movie. I'd seen trailers for it, and during the time this movie came out, there had been a number of years long run of. This is during the Dark Times, 2000 and well, no, actually, I guess it was after the Dark Times. But anyway, there was this glut of movies that were like very light sci-fi premises over just very bad movies, and I guess that's always been a thing. But there was a certain vibe for it. There was like, remember Jumper?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Jumper, In Time, 2013. Those are the only two I can think of right this second, but there are others. I don't know, it was a specific flavor of bad sci-fi movie. In this movie, I think of this movie whenever I think of those movies. So
honestly,
I'm like, oh, I'm finally watching this.
This gave me Jupiter Ascending vibes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Jupiter is a much better movie. In fact, while I was watching this, I thought to myself, if the Wachowskis had made this movie, it would be a lot better. But, yeah.
I mean, I enjoy Jupiter Ascending because it's
definitely
bad.
not unlike Jupiter Ascending.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just dive into it because our this week was 0 days long, I feel. And let's just talk about the movie to cut out a good 30 minutes for Maddy there.
Yes, let's do it. I have one
needs Benadryl in bed.
I actually have one small mini holler I was going to do, but I'll take it for next week.
Okay, cool. So
write it down so you don't forget it.
Write it down. Write it in your diary.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, apologies if I'm stumbling over myself this time around because I jotted notes instead of writing out everything that I say, and then I don't actually say that. It just helps me to have something I can read if I need to. Mm-hmm. So my first note just starts us off as double gravity, which that was the moment I cackled and I was like, oh, okay, never mind. I'm not going to try and like...
They said those words and I was just like... And here we fucking go.
Here we go.
I actually think this movie's dumb world building is kind of integral to it, or not integral to it, like, I'm in the sense like its plot. I mean, like, I feel very strongly about the dumb world building in this movie. Apparently, instead of just making up a like a fantasy world where there's two worlds, like Digimon or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. No, they have this elaborate thing where it's a solar system where there's two planets that I guess are right next to each other. and are both orbiting around Earth, around the sun, around the star, I suppose, at the exact same speed, and therefore just hanging out next to each other at all times, and I guess are locked into each other rotationally. You might be wondering, why not just, again, make up a fantasy world instead of explaining it all in terms of actual astronomy, and I'd say I agree with you.
Like if this was just like some Ghibli world and they didn't have this horrible narration at the beginning and it just was a thing we lived with, it would be fine. Like I wouldn't even care. But it's the fact that like they tried to make it a sci-fi movie, so I was looking for all of the sci-fi movie stuff, and all of that stuff falls flat. They would have just had a weird magical world with half the people live upside down and it just focus on the romance of it all. That would have been fine.
Romance is putting it strongly, but yeah. Anyway, Sam, what are the rules of this world?
So the rules are: all matter is pulled by the gravity of the world that it comes from and not the other. Weight can be offset by matter from the other world, and matter in contact with matter from the other world burns. This last one is when it's convenient to the plot. The other ones, fine, sure, whatever, those are consistent. But the whole you catch fire if you touch things from the other world doesn't actually ever happen. I mean, it happens for like major plot reasons, but not for any of the like world building things. One of the first times it happens is there. Kirsten Dunst hands Adam, dude from across the universe, a pomegranate, and he eats it, and he's like, wow, this is great. And I'm like, you just set fire to your insides. You can't, like, Rule 3, you can't do this. So ignore Rule 3 except for why he has to leave in the middle of the movie.
Again, this is a fantasy movie. It would work better because they could have just said, like, I don't know, it only applies to people. Yeah. Or it only applies to objects that are magically enchanted. Like, it remember how, like, not to bring up this fucking series, but in the Harry Potter universe, they're like, oh yeah, you can just make stuff using magic. You can just cast spells to make stuff. Oh, but you can't make food. Food is magically immune to this rule because then they wouldn't have an economy. That's stupid, but at least they address it.
Yeah. and like, they could have said, because like every single time it's a Bernie thing, it was metal. So you could have been like, if you touch the earth from the other side, but they said matter. So
yep. Oh, also this is called inverted matter.
Yes, or inverse matter. One of the two.
Inverse. That's right.
Yeah, and so the quote that kicks us off on the movie proper says, "What if love was stronger than gravity?" So. So, ignoring the fact that this whole solar system is radially symmetric, you have the people who live up top. They are upside down to our main character. They're really rich, and the people that live down below, which, again, doesn't make sense because they're each other's up and down, but the ones that live down below are super duper poor. And the rich ones literally, like, have oil spills that rain crude oil on the people down below, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be like political, like, allegory of any time and of any sort, and it is at all. It just ignores all of the like political world building repercussions of this world, and instead does something else.
It's basically like, hey, did you know that the country that's doing imperialism at you is actually okay, and that the girl from the nice IDF girl is actually very pretty and cute?
So, in the middle of these two worlds, again, if there are day and night cycles, if there like, how does that work? Because if these worlds were rotating, this would not work. But there's a space elevator that connects the two worlds, owned by Transworld.
Transworld.
Yes.
Transworld. I was a lot more excited when I saw Transworld than the actual what we got from Transworld. But, our main character's name is Adam. He says that his parents died in something. I don't know. It's not important. He just has to explain why he's an orphan at the beginning. So he most of the time lives in an orphanage, but gets to go visit his Aunt Becky. Again, doesn't know why. Doesn't explain why he doesn't just live with Aunt Becky. But when she's
Aunt
there,
Becky doesn't want to adopt him. She secretly hates him.
Adam, you fucking suck.
Yeah.
Like I hate you. Go back to the orphanage where you belong.
Yeah.
So Aunt Becky always was telling him about the secret of the pink bees, and she would sprinkle in some pollen into her pancakes to make special flying pancakes for him. And she has a book with the secret of the bees in it that's passed down through her parents. And you might be thinking, oh, this is Chekhov's quote about the secret of the pink bees. Nope. Not explored.
Well, I think they actually say right then what the secret is. It's like, it was only a passing reference, but I believe that the bees
can pollinate plants from either side.
And therefore their honey has special anti-gravity properties. I think that is the secret. I don't think there's more of a secret than that.
Yeah.
Weird that only one person in the entire two worlds knows about these bees. Maybe it's only certain bees that do it. I mean, we all do know that bees can sense the presence of royalty. So maybe they can also... I don't know. Also, I just want to mention that I think Sam undersold it a little bit. We're talking a straight up like Midgar upper versus lower world here. Like when they look up in the sky, it is sci-fi metropolis, and then down below it's like 1840s Manchester. Like, like that's literally what it is.
Yeah. One day, Aunt Becky sends Adam up to the Sage Mountains to get some pollen from the bees, and it starts to rain on the upworld. So he climbs the mountain so he can like see the rain fall up. And while he's up there, he throws an airplane, like a toy airplane, and for some reason, it goes to the other world, like it falls to it and lands on the ground, even though it's matter from his world. Again, the rules are suggestions.
Yeah, that part's funny because I didn't even realize that was weird. You know why? Because if they were using actual laws of gravity, it would make sense because the gravity would suck whatever's closer. Uh-huh. So as soon as the paper airplane crosses the threshold between one planet and another, it will be subject to the other planet's gravity, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why to me I'm like that makes sense. But funny enough is how gravity works in the real world. But you're right, it's not how gravity works in this world. Mm-hmm. Although it did get lots of inverse rain on it.
Yeah,
maybe inverse rain.
Maybe it was the rain that did it. But we see the obviously young Kirsten Dunst. Her name is Eden. We see her, and they like talk one time, and then very jarring time jump. They're grown-ups now, and don't know how long between the one or two. It just straight cuts. They're grown-ups, and they've been basically dating for the past X amount of years through the time jump, and so. She comes up to see him, and she says that Border Patrol has been watching lately. They've been saying that people from down below have been like terrorizing the up above, which again doesn't make sense because later in the movie, Adam is the one that invents a way to go between both worlds. So like, how are the people from down below stealing things? I have so many questions.
So many questions.
Yeah. Also, I think just to get a little more so that people can visualize, this movie actually is kind of visually incredible. And when I say incredible, I mean they put a ton of work into it, and it's really interesting. I don't think it ever actually looks good because it has really weird post-processing and washed-out colors that make the entire thing look like a 2009 music video. Like a I don't know, like a what genre, like a
An Under Oath or The Used.
like it looks like a The Used music video, exactly. And it looks like bullshit, which kind of ruins what should have been amazing graphics. But like, to be clear, he's on the ground and she's on the up ground, and she's being pulled up and he's being pulled down. In order to go on this date, he has to literally throw her a big rope, and then she grabs the big rope, and then he hauls her down upward from her point of view, so like against gravity. And then they basically go underneath a rocky outcropping. So basically, anytime there's a roof, you're good, right? Mm-hmm. And so he's on the ground, and it's like Spider-Man, basically. Funny, Kirsten Dunst is into kissing people upside down. But he's on the bottom rock, and she's on the top rock, because it's an overhang. It's an overhang.
I had the same Spider-Man thought, by the way.
I actually think about it now. And they're doing like a lean smooch. And then they want to explore more, so she sits on his shoulders. But if you think about it again, he's on her shoulders, or she's on his shoulders. First of all, only works if she's lighter than him, because if she was heavier than him, she would just drag him up to upland. But she's lighter than him, so he's running through the forest. And it looks like just two people with one person on the other person's shoulders. But when you think about her point of view, she's hanging from this person a mile in the air.
Thousands of miles.
So, like, this would be terrifying. Like, maybe terrifying in a hot way, but, like, I don't know what she's into. But, like, if this guy drops her, she will fall all the way to her death. Whereas to him, there's just a cute girl on his shoulders, right? So, so they're running through the forest, and I will say, when they're running through the forest, they do constant special effects in this movie. He looks like he's running on the moon because he's super light, because this person is like counterweighting him, which is pretty cool. So every time that kind of stuff happens in this movie, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Honestly, it seems like this movie was just an excuse to do things that seemed like they'd be cool.
Oh yeah, this 100% was chasing Inception. It wanted to be a visual spectacle like Inception.
Oh, it was Inception, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it didn't have anything to back any of that up with.
Weirdly enough, you know what it reminds me a lot of? Tenet.
Haven't seen
Tenet
still.
is really
I haven't
good.
seen it either.
Well, let's just say Tenet has a point about precisely halfway through the movie where the main character sort of shifts from one world to another, and it's visually amazing, and it's done a lot better than it is in this movie.
Maybe we should have watched Tenet instead of this movie, but fuck it, here we are.
No, I'm glad we're here. This is good.
Yeah, so they're jumping through the forest, all moonwalking and stuff, having a grand old time, and then they hear a gunshot, and dudes start running after him, so he rushes her back to the summit so he can lower her up to her ground, and the shooters were looking for him for some reason, and so they shoot him, and he drops her like 100 feet. She hits her head on a rock, falls into the snow, starts bleeding out. It's traumatic. So then the people who shot Adam burn Becky's house to the ground, and they take them away from each other. And as they're loading her into like the cop car, she's yelling, "You did nothing wrong," and she's taken away, and he's double orphaned. And that's never explored. Don't know why Becky was the one punished for Adam having a girlfriend from the Upside Down, but here we are. So 10 minutes in, second time jump, 10 years later, he's in his apartment looking through the Bees book and doing some science. He works at like a junkyard for inverse matter pawn shoppy thing. It never really goes into what they do, but he is Go ahead.
If you see a thing in this movie, just assume it'll never be explained.
Yes.
One kind of neat thing actually is that because reverse matter just catches on fire, that's the least interesting thing they could have done with that. But yeah, it catches on fire if it interacts with the opposite thingy. They just use that to heat their houses. which is kind of cool. You literally get like a bolt of metal from the upper world, and you put it inside of what essentially looks like a Franklin stove. And what it happened is, of course, it gets stuck to the top of the Franklin stove because of reverse gravity. And then after an hour or two, just like sort of this unspoken time limit, the inverse matter just starts to combust, and that's how you heat your house. So
yeah,
that's smart.
Yeah. At his day job, he is trying to use the bee pollen to make a beauty cream to anti-gravity away your wrinkles. Real dumb. There's so many other things that anti-gravity could have done, but sure, mix it into a beauty cream.
Yeah. And just so you know, you might think, oh, this is just like, every movie you establish the everyday and then one day, like this is the character's life, but then something happens. No, this is the core plot of the movie is his beauty cream. Like, he's got this unknown secret substance that radically transforms the nature of reality, and the best idea he can come up with it is to put it on your face, tits, and buns to make them not so saggy.
Yep. So while he's working, a game show is on TV, and the big grand prize that everyone is on this game show to win is the opportunity to get a job at Transworld. This will be important in about 5 minutes. But to introduce that prize is Eden, and he's like, "Holy shit, it's Eden! Like, I haven't seen her in 10 years. I thought she was dead. Oh my god." So then we see a shot that it's a scene that's completely pointless. It just has a lot of good graphics of Eden dancing in a ballroom place that's split between the regular world, or not regular world, the down and the up. So the people are dancing on the ceiling and the floor and vice versa. She has a lot of like drinking her martini upside down shots, and it's cute but completely pointless. It asks a lot of world building questions that they never bothered to answer. So back with Adam, we see him go to the space elevator, and he takes a ride up to floor 0, which is the one in between the two worlds. And there's a whole lot of more world building tricks of people are on the ceiling and the floor at the same time, sharing an office space, things like that. Someone literally puts like a "kick me" sign on the back of Adam because I guess, but turns out
they're 12 apparently.
Yeah. So
just some nice office hazing. I just want to mention over 50% of this movie takes place in an office building, which is a bit of a waste of a concept. But yeah, there's all these shots of it's a long shot, tons of wide angle. I feel like almost all movies wide angle as well, where it's a big wide rectangular room where he's in the bottom left corner of the room, and the person he's talking to is in the top right corner of the room because he's on his floor and they're on their floor, and every reverse shot is people looking up at the camera which is why. That's why it looks like an Oz music video, because everyone's looking up dramatically at the camera. Yeah, that's why. Anyway, because they're looking at the other person. Yeah, so it's all these shots of... there's one scene where he's in a chair and they're in a chair above him, and I guess that they can be on an equal level. The chair starts to hover and rise up to meet the level of the other guys. He's just floating in the air looking at the other guy upside down. So yeah, it's like they saw Spider-Man kiss, and they're like, what if instead of upside down Spider-Man kiss, it was upside down Spider-Man everything. So Adam now has a job. Not only a job, he has the highest ranking job that anyone from the down below has ever had here, because they are so interested in his beauty cream. So what was the grand prize on TV? He just walked in looking like a schmub in a suit that doesn't even fit, and he just waltzed in to get it. Why haven't we... Maybe there was a time skip here that we missed? I don't know. But yeah, he's achieving his goals very quickly.
If she would have just come on TV, and instead of it being a game show and making Transworld look like it's a thing that is what they're make it the grand prize, she could have just been on a commercial for like, you're now accepting invention submissions. Come on over to Transworld, and would have given us the exact same thing without asking more dumb world building questions that it can't answer.
Wait, Sam. An advertisement for Transworld. Are you talking about when you're looking on Twitter and you see a promoted ad that's like, play Final Fantasy XIV now free up to level 60, including the Shadowbringers expansion?
Yes, absolutely.
Award-winning Heavensward expansion.
Yes.
Whatever.
But, so apparently he was going to make the beauty cream himself, but he sold out to the capitalists just so he could meet a girl. So his friends down below are super pissed at him for selling out because they literally work in a building that has hazardous waste dumped on them because there's an oil spill up above that they don't care about because it falls down because they pump the oil from down below, so it falls on their head, so they just don't care. And his friends are like, this is a bad thing. And he's like, cool, we addressed it. Now I can just do whatever I want. So he says a line that all three of us touched on, so I know it's important. He says, if I can use Transworld, the people who killed my family and the bees, to give my life hope, then I'm going to do it.
Actually, hold on. So you just made the line. I'm going to read the line verbatim. So the part where I like that you added in the part about them killing his family because that is important context, though it's not actually in the line itself. The line is, quote, if I could use Transworld and Aunt Becky's pink powder to... Actually, he has a weird accent, so it's more like, if I could use Transworld and Aunt Becky's pink powder to give my life some kind of hope, then I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, he is definitely the British person that thinks all American accents are like deep Georgia, Tennessee accents, and so it's like the worst thing you've ever heard.
It's like a little Georgia and a little New Jersey.
Yeah, it's bad. It's real bad. Reminds me...
New Jersey.
So I've been listening to Eighth Doctor audio dramas from Big Finish for a really long time, and the third one, they go to the 51st state of Malabolgia, and every British person thinks that we're all Foghorn Leghorn, and it is the worst American accents thrown at you for it's like a 4-hour audio drama. I recommend skipping it. It's not important if you ever go back. Anywho, that was an aside. So
anywho, that's funny.
Yeah. So we flash aside. We see Eden is in a support group for people with amnesia because she doesn't remember anything from before the accident.
What a complication.
Back at work, Adam's cube mate from the Up invites him to the smoking room so they can chat. Turns out that Bob, his cube mate, is a stamp collector, and he's into contraband and stuff. So he wants some down below stamps. He's like, I'll trade you whatever you want. And so I wrote at the time that Bob is played by Peter Pettigrew, so I don't trust him, and I had a side eye on him for most of the movie, but Bob's a good guy. Love Bob.
Yeah.
He plays the worst people in every other movie, but he's okay here.
I mean,
he didn't get
I didn't even remember that he played Peter Pettigrew, who I believe is a character from Harry Potter. Heck, if I actually remember anything about that. But I will say I got the same impression. So it's not disassociation. He plays the character like a sleazeball, but it turns out he's the fun sleazeball who just doesn't give a shit and is kind of rude, but is not in any way actually a villain or bad person. So
no,
yeah.
he's kind of the hero of the piece actually. So, Bob's like, bring me some stamps. I'll get you whatever you want. He's like, well, what I want is for you to get a message to, Eden. And Bob has a knowing look on his face. Doesn't mean anything. So then, we have a, montage of him stashing the inverse matter that they're giving him to do experiments on. And instead of doing the experiments, because he doesn't need it because he has the pink pollen, he is just hiding it in a like a maintenance closet upstairs. And the whole time he's trading things with Bob. So he's like, here's some stamps for your collection, Bob. Now I need a suit that'll fit me and stuff like that. And so there's a cute scene where he does animal testing. Animal testing is not cute. We are definitely against animal testing here on this podcast, but the scene itself was cute because it's a dog and dogs are cute. But,
yeah. Also, this is just powder that makes the dog be less
face.
saggy. So who cares?
Yeah. But so he one day after work, he says that he's going to work late. Waits till everyone goes home, then climbs on his cube to reach Bob's phone so that he can he calls down to Eden's department to say, oh, hey, my name is Bob Berchkowitz. I want to come down and show you something that I've been working on. Sets up a meet cute for the next day. So he the next day he goes to where he's been stashing all of the inverse matter. And he has made a suit that you can slide the weights into so that he can walk on the ceiling, aka the floor, and go about it. His friends all tell him this is a really stupid idea because that was 10 years ago. She's probably forgot all about him. And this stuff is going to make him explode, which are all very good points. In fact, she has forgotten about him, and he does explode. He should have listened to his friends.
Although, I do think it was funny how his friend is like, bro, she forgot about you. Love doesn't always last in that kind of way. Just because you loved someone 10 years ago doesn't mean you do now. She forgot about you for normal reasons. So he's right. But she didn't forget about him for normal reasons. She forgot about him for plot amnesia reasons.
Yes.
So, on a spiritual level, he was wrong, because the power of love does overcome all, but he was right coincidentally for plot reasons.
Yes. So, he puts on his suit, adds the final bit of weights, so now he is fully up top, walking on the ceiling. He does the really dumb talking to yourself in the mirror to psych you up as you get ready trope, which is completely out of place in this movie, especially at this point of the movie. But because he's doing that, he accidentally knocks his mirror off the wall, which crashes into the down floor, and so that alerts a guard from down below. So he runs and hides up above to get away. So he then goes to the positive fourth floor to find Eden, and she's building some sort of model. It never, ever, literally ever goes into what her job is. She's just making these huge paper, pop-up book models of buildings and shit. It's dumb.
Yeah.
But
also, just to make sure we're clear here, at this point he is now upside down, right side up. He's still in the building, and a lot of the buildings have floors on both sides. But so now he is functionally in the
other world.
Tetheala. What's it called? Up top? Yeah.
Yes, up top, down below, I believe.
He's now in up top, walking around like an up top person, thinking, I gotta pretend like I'm a top. If anyone realizes I'm not a top, they'll kick me down.
They'll send me back with the bottoms.
So he walks in and he's just like, hey, Eden, it's me. And she's like, what? And he's like, it's me. Do you not remember me? So her partner says the best line, it's her amnesia. You know it makes her forget things.
That's definitely how that works, yeah.
So Adam plays it off, says that his name is Bob Berchkowitz. He says that he was showing her the formula, so he's adding it to parts of her model, making him stand up. And he keeps leading statements, being like, oh, I always went to walk in the Sage Mountains. Anything? Because I have a friend from down below. No, nothing. Okay, and so he like explains his life story about his friend from down below, and she's just like, I have no idea why you're telling me any of this. And
that is her literal line, which is actually quite funny.
It's
because
really good.
it is bizarre that he's saying this, and she literally is just like, "Oh, I don't understand what." Okay, like, not to. I hate to well, actually, the whole fucking movie, because that's not actually the problem with the movie. Who cares about that? But like, man, it would just make so much more sense if he said, "We knew each other back before you had your accident."
Yeah,
that would be 100% believable.
Yeah,
that would be 100% believable if he just said, "Oh, sorry, I guess you don't remember me, but we knew each other before your big accident." He could just say that.
It's one of those things where, like, a lot of the problems with a lot of the drama could be resolved with just people telling each other the truth and communicating. And I fucking hate that. Like, it's one of the biggest problems I have with romantic comedies is that the conflict centers around a complete lack of human communication.
Yep. And at least, and sometimes in better movies, at least there's a reason for it. It's like, yes, of course, because a lot of you like to nitpick movies like, oh, how come they did this in the horror movie? How come they did this in a science fiction movie? I'm like, I don't know. Do you always make the ideal decision in a stressful situation? Like not everyone acts rationally, right? But in rom-coms, it's usually like, yeah. So if it's done right, it's like, obviously they could just talk for 5 fucking seconds, but they've got emotional reasons why they don't, because they're too insecure, they're too prideful, they're too
assholes.
They're assholes, like whatever. But in this movie, like it does. No, it's like it. I think it would have occurred to anybody in that situation to just say that, and it just doesn't. Yeah, like it's not given remotely any reason why he doesn't do the thing that I think would actually be obvious to even a big dumbass. Like, if I'm a pretty big dumbass, especially when there's a cute girl, but like I probably could have figured it out.
Yeah,
probably.
And like here in a second, it becomes like a major emotional scene is he starts like asking her too many leading questions from before the thing, so he backpedals when like, no, the logical person would be like, I met you a long time ago, must have been before your accident, would have been the thing, but he's like, no, like we ran into each other in the hallway or whatever the fuck. And he's such a
dipshit.
It like leans on the fact that he should just tell her, and he never does. So the reason he has to go back to the down below is dumb but hilarious. So he's starting to burn up, so he's like trying to like get the metal off of his body in the bathroom. Someone walks in, so he goes to pee in the urinal, forgets that he's upside down, so he pisses on the ceiling, and because his piss is inverse matter, it catches on fire in the smoke detector, alerts people, and he has to run away, and it's so dumb.
No, that part was hilarious.
It's hilarious, but it's
as soon as he started
kind
pissing, I was like, wait a second. And the movie was like, that's right, bitch, it's inverse piss time. And I'm like, look at that.
Everyone's favorite time.
Events based on pre-established world rules are naturally leading to their conclusions instead of just random contrived bullshit. It's great.
Yeah.
This is what the whole movie should. If the whole movie operated under this logic, it'd be great.
Yeah. So,
it's just the inverse piss movie.
So at work the next day, it's what's called showtime, which is where they hand out bonuses to half of the people who work there, and they fire the other half. And I just want to say, when I worked for IoT Freedom, one of our clients was this company. Like literally every single Friday, like I either handled a promotion or a firing of like 50 people.
That's awful.
It's horrible. Write your senators and tell them to end the concept of temp workers.
Yeah.
Or at least give them rights of some sort. So it turns out that Bob is getting fired. So when he's packing his desk, he tells Adam, you can't trust anyone here. And he gives him one final box of up top stuff. and the box that he gives him is all of his documents and paperwork because he knows he's been pretending to be Bob to go see Eden. And
what a fucking G, honestly.
Yeah.
Right?
Good guy.
And so Eden calls Bob's work phone, asks him out to lunch, and Adam like scrambles up and answers it and says, "Of course he will." So he puts on his up top clothes and he just walks out of the building. Uses Bob's ID to get out, but when you process mass terminations like that, the IDs are like the first thing turned off, and security escorts you out of the building. So at first I was like, okay, this is a plot hole. No, it's a plot point. In like 30 minutes, they just wanted it to work one time.
Yeah, later they did turn his ID off, so he just, he got in under the wire there.
Yeah. So he goes out into Trans City, and it is a big ass cyberpunk utopia.
Sam's not making a joke. It is called Trans City.
It is.
In case you're curious, no, this movie is not aware of the extremely funny jokes that it's making, and there are no queer characters in it.
Nope, of course not.
If you were thinking, is this an extremely on-the-nose metaphor? No, it's not.
It's not. Okay,
in fact, try as I might, I could not even find a way to interpret it as one.
Yeah. Like, every single, like, allegory you start to sniff on, and you're like, oh, is this what they're saying? Let me just tell you right now, this movie has nothing to say.
No.
The most this movie has to say is love is stronger than gravity, and I don't even know what that means.
I mean, gravity is literally the weakest of the four fundamental forces. So, like, okay, whatever. Fucking call me back when love is stronger than
covalent bonds.
Yeah, or not one of the four fundamental forces, but yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, call me back when love is stronger than even weak subatomic forces. Not even strong ones. Like, come on, love stronger than gravity. Big fucking whoop. I'm stronger than gravity. Here, look, I'm doing it right now. I'm lifting a cup up into the air.
Yep.
Oh God.
Oh,
You're
all
a
of us are doing it. So, the cafe that she invites him to, she says it's called Cafe Dos Mundos, which is definitely, when I heard that, I was like, oh, this is going to be a taco cabana. But no, it is the fanciest fucking restaurant that we saw earlier. Like the huge ballroom thing that has symphonies every night, whatever. So,
okay, this restaurant's pretty cool. I didn't get it at first because it's in Trans World. It's in Trans City. It's in Upworld. But it has a ceiling that has upside down people. So I'm like, wait, if they're oppressing the poor people, why is there a up half to this restaurant? Well, no, it turns out that there's still rich people. Again, a lot of opportunity for some class commentary here, because basically the upper class people in the shitty world in down below, I guess, come here. But how do they get there? Through a tram that goes through the interworld space. Actually really cool. So if you're from Upworld, you just go over to the restaurant, which is on top of like a mountain. But if you're in down below world, you get on presumably kind of like the Golden Saucer. Wow, another FF7 thing. You get on a fancy
Gold
tram.
Saucer's in Final Fantasy 14 too.
That's true.
Yeah.
Ride a tram all the way across through upward, downward gravity to the other place, and then you basically hang out on the ceiling of it, which is neat.
But so this movie, I just had an epiphany of what it is. This movie is the guy in high school that would draw a lot of cool ass landscapes and shit in his composition books. He met a music video director from the 2010s, and they decided to make a movie together, and neither of them knew any writers, and that's where we ended up.
Yeah, and I will say, based on the credits, it is a written and directed by the same guy movie.
Yeah.
So this is the dude had a vision, and sometimes you got a vision and you don't know that your vision is actually really dumb. But it's some. I thought the entire movie felt extremely French to me. I couldn't explain why, but I've seen enough French films, both good and bad, to feel like this movie has major French film vibes. But actually, it was a French and I think Canadian co-production, but the writer-director is Argentinian, so I don't know. What the fuck?
So, he asks her, "Are you sure you don't remember me?" And he like goes to grab her hand as being very forward. So she pulls away, and he deflates the situation by making up a lie about running into her at work, and she just doesn't remember him. He somehow convinces her to sit back down and eat with him. So they have a cute little date where she shows him what she's been working on, which is a literal pop-up book about the Sage Mountains where they met when they were kids, and whatever. So he starts to burn up. So he says that he has to leave.
I feel like you could say whatever about a lot of this movie.
So
whatever, who fucking cares?
He says he has to leave because he's catching on fire. So she invites him to a symphony there later. He says, sure. And so he starts to run off, but it's getting too hot for him. So he jumps into the water to cool himself off, swims far out from the city, and then takes off all of his weights so that he falls out of the water into the other water, and he dies because there's no way that you can fall 2 mountains tall into water and survive. He's dead. The rest of the movie is a fever dream.
I will say this shot ruled.
It rules so hard.
Also, this is the first of 2 times he falls from a great height, and again, I'm here to dunk, but look, actually, this time they don't make it clear, but the other time they kind of do. Think about it. All you need to do is take most of the things weighing you down off. If you leave 1 or 2 of them on, then yes, you are falling like a mile or 2 to smash into the ground, but you're falling very slowly. So you'd actually be fine.
Maybe he needed to get there quickly.
Yeah, this time around, it's not mentioned at all. It does seem like he takes all of his stuff off, and they just do the classic movie thing where you can fall from any height as long as you land in water. But later, remember, he explicitly is still wearing his vest thingy. So it's like, oh, that's an
Maybe
actual implication of the world building that is really neat. There's a way that you can fall from a great height without getting hurt in this world. Huh. Anyway.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind for later, because later it actually totally makes sense. This time you have to interpret it. You have to make it up in your head.
There are other things about the one later that doesn't make sense. So just hold on to this. So he goes back to his house, which doesn't have heat. He has to use the contraband inverse matter to heat his house, and he's like shivering, about to die from the heat. He's like the fucking bigwig at Transworld right now. Like, did they not ever pay him? Like, what? Why is he?
He's upside down boy.
Payroll is clearly not prioritizing the down below employees.
Apparently. So that night, Eden dreams about the mountains, and this time she remembers that someone else is there, but she doesn't quite remember Adam yet. So the next day, Adam is showing off his aging cream to the board, and it's working. But then Eden walks in. He tries to hide his face, and she's like, "Hey, Mr. Berkowitz," and everyone's like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "No, my name is Adam Kirk. Sorry, you must have me confused with someone else."
Fucking gaslighter, I guess.
Yep. So she is obviously distraught. She runs off, and he's like, "Thank you, no further questions." And he runs off, puts on his suit to go be Bob and chase after him, but she had already left the building. So he tries to scan his badge to get out. Now it says Bob has been terminated. Who is this person? So he jumps the turnstile. Security is now chasing after him. So they chase him through the city, and he manages to escape by hiding on like a fancy outcropping on one of the big ass buildings by taking his stuff off. So they're looking down for they don't expect it to be a down below person. So meanwhile, Eden is crying, trying to understand, and she gets a flashback to when they first met, and she finally remembers Adam. So Adam goes and meets Bob at his house, and Bob makes him a harness that doesn't he makes him stuff out of down below clothes that won't make him burn up like the way it is. It makes it work. It doesn't work, but that burning plot point is now no longer a plot point for the whole rest of the
this is
movie.
the part that really makes no sense. Their explanation of it doesn't make enough sense, and also, more importantly, it's like, hey, that thing that was like one of the main obstacles to you achieving your goals, whatever. It's like in a video game, sometimes you'll have a video game where you like have a certain restriction mechanically, and then they take it away, and it actually makes the game a lot worse, because you're like, well, no, this was kind of the mechanical center of this game, but since I'm towards the end, you decided to give me like a magic spell that makes it not matter anymore. Okay.
Final Fantasy 13 coming to a pod near you. So Adam shows Bob the bee pollen because he always it didn't seem like he was hiding it because there was pink shit all over his desk and the beauty cream itself was pink, but he was hiding the fact that he was adding the bee pollen as the key ingredient in his patent application. So they're unable to make the cream, so they're coming after him to get it, apparently. But so Adam shows the bee pollen to Bob, and he's like, "Hey, it makes anti-gravity," and he's like, "Oh, cool! I'm going to like now that I'm retired because I was working at that place for 31 years and they fired me, and I already they gave me severance package and a nest egg, so I'm good. I'm just going to spend my free time trying to invent something cool with this anti-gravity." And it's like, sure, go right ahead. So Adam goes to the cafe or the symphony. And Eden still was there because she wanted to see him. And so she's like, "Hey, I remember you. Your name is Adam." They kiss. It's super anticlimactic. You would have thought it would be like a dramatic moment. It's kind of not.
It just happens. She just remembers him, and he sees her, and cool.
Yep. So some cops bust in looking for Adam. So he bolts and takes off again just a few of his weights so that he has those Mooney jumps like from the beginning of the movie, and he jumps onto Chekhov's trolley that we talked about earlier, and he rides it to the down. So that's apparently enough to get away from the cops because the cops can't just ride the trolley after him. So he then goes to the Sage Mountains where the cops looked for him before and shot him. They know that they gallivant there, but whatever. And so Eden comes there to see them. They have some zero gravity kissing that apparently is full on sex, but it is not even shot sexually whatsoever. It is like barely meet cute, like rubbing your nose together kissing.
So sometime in the last 15 minutes, I realized, oh no, they better not have sex. And if they do, they'd better use a condom because if you recall,
gonna burst into flames.
Someone is gonna have a fire in their belly, in the most literal way. So that's really bad. But yeah, so it's not clear at all here, for the record, that they fucked. Sometimes in movies we will kiss, and then it cuts to the next scene. It's clear that they fucked. They just didn't show you anything. But in this one, the way that it was edited and stuff, it is not clear. I'm like, they could have just made out for 10 minutes. Right,
yeah.
like very much. But yes, as we'll find later.
Also,
they
what
definitely
a great
fucked,
time!
And also,
what a great
spoiler,
time to fuck.
They definitely didn't use a condom.
Yeah.
So
like when you're being chased by the cops, that's definitely the time.
I mean, to be fair, it is probably
get busy,
kind of hot, but yeah.
So, this time he puts on his anti-gravity suit so he can go walking through the woods on her side, like the opposite of what happened at the beginning of the movie. So, they're walking through the woods, and of course the cops are there because like there are two places where the worlds meet. It's the top of the Sage Mountains and the space elevator. They just check the elevator. They're not there. They're going to come here and fucking find you. So they they stop chasing them. So Adam takes off some of his weights. So they do the piggyback thing from earlier to escape through what I called the Zeppelin level that the devs had already created before they pivoted to make the game about something else. So they just kind of wrote in a Zeppelin dungeon because they had all of the assets made.
So this part rules visually. You know how like in Kingdom Hearts or in, I don't know, the final boss of FF7 Remake or a lot of stuff, specifically anime JRPG bullshit, but not exclusively anime JRPG bullshit. Final battles or bosses just take place in, like, you're in a nothing space and everything's floating rocks. There's just a billion floating rocks everywhere and you're just jumping around on floating rocks. They managed to put that in a movie in a way that makes 100% diegetic plot sense, so I gotta hand them to that. They did find a way to have abstract video game platformer floating rock level final boss zone, and you're even jumping around with super floaty physics because of pre-established plot reasons. So, fine. I'll hand it to him.
So, one of the Pew Pew guys is Pew Pew's the snap of the support of the thing that they're standing on, so it starts to fall. And both of them start to fall in the same direction, and not because they're on piggyback. They're not on piggyback anymore. She is holding him by his one hand, and even when he lets go, she's still hanging down in that direction.
Oh god, I didn't even think about that. Wait, isn't he weighted with her weights? What direction does he fall?
He falls into the down.
Right.
He lands in the trees.
But wasn't he...
So she is facing towards the down at that point.
You're right. I got mixed up on that scene. That makes no fucking sense.
It makes no goddamn sense.
Because he is wearing the vest later, which he shouldn't have been. Well, no, because remember, it's not just the vest. If he's wearing... Imagine he's wearing the vest and shoes and gloves that are all weighted.
Are you trying to hope this movie? Like, why are you trying to make excuses for
the part where he wears the vest really, I did find interesting, because that was what made me think, like, oh, he did, like, a slow fall. I think everything about him still makes sense. He's wearing... He's gonna be slow falling. But, yeah, there's no reason she should have been falling in that direction. That's stupid.
It's stupid. So, he tells her to let go. She does. He falls into a tree, dies for a second time, unless he was slow falling. But she's then taken away by the cops, like forcefully, like shoved into the back of the car, like really traumatic looking. And so he goes back to working for his friends, and then Transworld sends some people after him to beat him up. And they say that they'll free Eden if he gives them the full formula, but if he ever meets her again, they'll put her back in jail. Okay. So he says that he narrates actually that he has lost.
Narration's
so
back.
Giving up.
You might have forgotten if we had narration because it only did it at the beginning of the movie, but now it's got narration again. In fact, before this, it narrates where it's like. Yeah, like the movie kind of makes you think it's the end of the movie, and I'm like, you know what? A Hollywood movie wouldn't have a downer ending like this, but a French movie would kind of just do a thing where it's like, and then the hero got owned, the end. But no, the last literal 5 minutes does pull a resolution out of its ass.
Yeah.
Literally, like, right out of its ass.
Well, that's why. The thing is, if the movie, if I hadn't been watching it on my computer on QuickTime Video, because that's what it randomly opened, and because I didn't click DLC or VLC, if I hadn't seen that there were only 5 minutes left in the movie, I would have obviously assumed it was a false ending. But when I saw how much time was left, I was like, is this the real ending? I mean, there's not that much time left in the movie, guys.
And it's it's like a visual spectacle, so it could have like 5 minute credits. Like, that's fine. That happens.
Yeah.
No. So, we see Bob doing more science, and he puts a fish in one bowl and inverse purple jelly in the other bowl, kind of shakes them together to put the fish in a floating bubble, and he screams victory, and I have no fucking idea what that's all about.
Especially because isn't that the exact same thing that that Sam had done earlier.
Absolutely.
With the two, yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's like I finally made a scientific breakthrough, but no, we saw that exact same special effect earlier. I don't see anything changing.
Yeah.
The whole movie is dropping hints that like this bee stuff and their love is gonna totally change the world. Which I will say makes sense. Very common trope, right? People, I mean. It goes back to Romeo and Juliet. People forget the point of Romeo and Juliet, which isn't just they're in love and then they die, but after they die, the two families stop fighting. That's important. So it's like, yeah, like, that makes sense. This science he makes is going to totally change the world, and it's in the background. It's not the main story, because the main story is his quest to get some inverse pussy. But like, it's there. But I don't think the writer...
Inverse pussy is not a good... phrase.
I know.
It's like
it's been an intrusive thought in my head for the last 4 hours.
It conjures up some very, very different imagery for me than.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. Actually, now I'm thinking about it as well. Yeah. Anyway, whatever. The point is,
maybe it is a trans allegory.
But at any rate, what I was going to say is, I think the writer had the idea that this pollen, this technology could radically change how society functions, but didn't know how it would do so. Just had the idea that it would. So all we get is this scene of him doing the fish in the thing. I'm just like, I mean, what is the idea that we just cancel out gravity entirely? Because if there's no gravity at all, that also wouldn't be good. Whatever.
Yeah. So Bob sends Eden the pink flowers, and they make her faint for some reason. They don't touch on that. So she goes to see Bob, and then it cuts to Adam hanging out with his friends, and Bob comes to see him. He apparently made a pink drink that neutralizes the water in your body, which means, remember, I would have to drink 230 pounds of this drink for it to cancel me out enough to make me neutrally buoyant. That means I would have to drink 460 pounds of this pink drink to be able to walk on the other world. But whatever.
And it lasts like a few hours.
Only lasts a few hours. Could you imagine being like, all right, I'm going to go visit my upside down girlfriend. Let me pound back 460 pounds of water so that I can spend an hour with her. And
again, like, they don't explain how this works. Like, why does this not burn up? Like, of course, the idea is that he's a scientist and they figured it out. But, like, by not explaining at all what it was they figured out, it really just comes as, like, they tried really hard and they finally figured it out because the movie's over.
Yes.
Like, it took them length of movie to figure it out. We don't know what they figured out, but we know that they just tried their best and now they figured it out. Okay.
And also, she's pregnant with twins and not fire.
Yeah. We'll get there, but
next scene.
That's the next scene.
I forgot there was still more stuff.
Yeah, barely. But like, the world building is not explored on what the fuck this actually means. But Bob also bought the beauty cream patent out from under the nose of Transworld and put it in Albert's name, which is a character that I didn't bother naming before now. It's his boss in the Down Below. So they're all filthy rich, and they cured double gravity racism. Okay, and so the next scene is we see Eden and Adam go back to the Cafe Dos Mundos, but this time on the downside. But that's where they escaped from the cops earlier. So why would the cops not be there and look up and see them? Like,
I think it's because I would say it was a budget thing, but I don't think so. I think the people making this movie, the director or whatever, whoever had the vision, just loved this cafe and loved the idea of this cafe holding like a symbolic conceptual meaning to the characters. So of course they go back there at the end. But also, it's stupid.
It's stupid. So as Eli said, she tells him that she's pregnant and they're having twins. And they're the reason that she's down below. And she says the brilliant line, Bob says you'd understand it better than me, which is the only explanation they give for why she's not burning up from having down below babies inside of her.
Here's the thing. The babies not burning up, I can see that. if you have that's the bees, right? That's the pollen. That's literally the metaphor. Love overcoming gravity. Literally, two people from the two different worlds fucking, and their babies are gonna be, I don't know, immune or bi-gravitational or whatever. But that makes total sense, actually. I mean, in this world's sort of metaphorical, whatever, like symbolic, magical, realist world. But why it would apply to her?
Yeah,
that doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, because remember, she's also in Down Below world, not using any kind of technology or anything.
Yeah.
So, like, she now has these special powers, which, again, it would make perfect sense if her children, like the next generation, right, are going to fix these problems by the love that we've imbued into them. But no, she's good now.
But, so my notes say, what the fuck, there's no resolution, what the fuck, 3 times. And then the narration comes back in, and he says, "Oh, how did it happen? That's a story for another day. Our production company is called Down Below Films. We were expecting this to be a thing. Come back for the sequel." But as the camera pans off, you see like schools where they're playing basketball, like up top and down below at the same time, and like now instead of there being one space elevator, there's a bunch of space elevators, and both sides are a utopia now. So their babies solved double gravity reverse racism off screen, I guess. In credits, that's the end of the movie.
I didn't see it as a sequel thing. I just think it was like, this is a story about two people who are in love, or one person who really wants to get a girl who's not a character, and neither is he. But also they change the world, but we focus so much on the first plot that it's like, oh yeah, and also we save the world.
Yeah, it's either a sequel bait or another version of Bob said you'd understand more than me.
Look, this movie has a 28% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I think for good reason.
Yeah.
It's an hour 40, and like, look, I'm the first person to complain about how modern movies are too long, except for the ones that are like long for a reason. But like, your average superhero movie, your average whatever, is just bloated. It doesn't need to be, you got like modern Hollywood action adventure movies are just a whole industry of movies that are 225 when they should have been 205, or 210, or 155. But this movie definitely, hour 40 doesn't make sense for this kind of movie, and yet also nothing happens in it. So like, it's weird.
Like this. If this movie was a 3-hour movie and you spent the first hour and a half on like the love story part and the second hour and a half on the sci-fi part, or both, like that
like
would,
the film Australia. That's a joke. That's a really bad, also a bad movie. But at least it gets the idea. Australia is like a 3-hour long ass movie where the first like half of it is a Hidalgo ass adventure where a person rides all the way across Australia to like save a girl from bandits, and then the back half of the movie is like, now it's a World War II, like an epic World War II political drama. Very weird. Not a good movie, but it actually would have been what you would want to do with this movie.
It like the movie falls apart because it spends equal amounts of time on the sci-fi bullshit and the love story bullshit, and because of that, it doesn't give enough time to either of them. So if like it would have been a sci-fi movie with just with just girl character and boy character, that's plenty. That would have been fine. It would have been a cool little sci-fi action romp. Or if it would have been a Ghibli movie where they don't explain the goddamn thing and they just focus on the characters, that would have been fine. But they go too hard on like, this is how the world works, but not enough to make it actually work. And this is a romance, but we're just going to resolve the romance in a single scene because
it really is funny how the hero and both the two heroes, the guy and the girl, think that they've lost. She thinks that he's dead, which, okay, I'll give her a pass on that. Thinking that the person you're in love with has literally fell 2 miles and splatted on the ground. That is a pretty good reason to give up on them. And then he, sacrifices his whatever because he does it to protect her. So they've both given up. They've been owned. But then our absolute boy Bob, decides to fix the movie off screen in the last 5 minutes.
The movie should have ended with like him dying at the Zeppelin, and it would have been a tragic ending, and it would have been okay. It's like most of my wait, what the fuck? Like this broke the whole movie is the resolution in the last.
Having a weird downer ending would have been a very strange choice, and I probably wouldn't have liked it. But having what you think is a weird downer ending, and then having. It's not that they wrap it up in a ham-fisted, contrived way. It's that it's also a very dramatically uninteresting way. There's no big climax. There's no crash of music. It's just like, and then this happened. It's like a couple scenes of people talking in rooms, and now the plot's resolved. Very, very, very weird. Everyone should watch this movie. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I literally have 2 different people, one of whom is my girlfriend, and one of whom is a friend of mine with whom I watched In Time 2013. I want to watch this movie with both of these people. Hopefully I can maybe make that one, like get the 3 of us together. That way I don't have to watch the movie 2 more times, because that seems like a bit much. But I would watch it 1 more time.
Next time you watch it, do it while hanging your head off the couch. With your legs up on the back of the couch.
Oh, it'd be like a whole new movie.
Yeah, it's like double the movie.
Yeah, I should do it while hanging from the ceiling with like Dale Cooper style.
Yeah.
So yeah, memorable moments. I don't think I can license any of this music to do it, so we'll just jump right in.
Inverse piss.
Yeah, Inverse Piss was really good.
Another one that I loved is in the trial thing, they wheel out this like 90-year-old lady to try the stuff on, and when they do the big reveal, they cast some 20-year-old person that doesn't even look like her. Like, it didn't even seem like they're the same like ethnicity. Like, I shouldn't use ethnicity. That gives white people too much credit. The different flavor of white people, and, like, it just completely, totally.
Yeah, like the old lady was clearly a Southern Italian, and then when she becomes young, she's obviously a Northern Italian. Like, I couldn't suspend my disbelief.
But it was hilarious. But I also wrote several times about how this movie is 2012 colored, but we already brought that one up. There's so much about this movie that is literally the year 2012, and I didn't know I could pinpoint it until I saw this movie. What about you guys?
I've got just a couple. There's a scene where I don't know when it is. I guess it's once he says that, like, oh, I didn't actually give them the patent. Haha, I didn't actually tell the secret ingredient. And then one of the 2 characters, either Bob or Sam, is like, I can't wait to just imagine the look on his face right now. And then, of course, the movie immediately cuts to the villain with an angry look on his face. And sometimes I like it when movies just do the tropiest thing possible, but they play it straight. But since this movie was not dramatically engaging, and also I didn't remember the name of the villain or who they were or what their deal was, it didn't actually work. But it's kind of summed up the whole movie. It's like, it's not that it's going through the motions. It's that it's going through the motions with no juice in it. Yeah. So that's the deal. Other scene. When they're in the. I realize when they're in the office building, there's so many scenes of, like, he's on the bottom office and someone else is on the top office, and they're kind of yelling at each other. And at one point, a lady from the top office uses one of those old person grabbers to grab at him a like, booklet. But then I realized, wait a second, the 2 floors of the office, like the floor and the ceiling, are, like, 30 feet apart. And it's just like, that's just not convenient. If these people are starting to work together, like, why are all of these ceilings so high? It just it looks cool, but like it just continued to raise questions. It's just like, again, this world building makes no sense. This is a function. Also, it'd be kind of neat. Imagine you walking down the hall of an office building where the other people above you are like your head and their head are like almost at the same level, and you can like give them a high five. You know, like that would make sense actually as like an office space where everyone's interacting. But instead, it's this music video looking thing that not only doesn't make any sense logically, but also like is actually less engaging of a space, because then you don't have like, you know, the two characters like secretly sort of conferencing where no one will hear them. No, they're like hollering at each other. Anyway, also in addition to Transworld and Trans City, there are a few other trans whatever, because the company's called Transworld, so all their subsidiary branches are like trans whatever. I don't remember all of them, but at some point there is a shot of a quarry site, no trespassing, and the company is Trans Shale and Oil Mining. So, you know, we need more trans fracking companies, is my opinion on that.
Inverse piss. What about you, Eli? Did you have any others?
Not really. No, I was semi paying attention. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, it was back and forth a little bit, but like usually I can multitask pretty well and I can know what's going on in a movie even while I'm doing something else. There were so many times where it was like, what did I miss? Like, what happened?
Yeah, this movie will give you like a 3-minute music video of Kirsten Dunst drinking an upside down martini, and then have major plot points be something that's like a guy walks into the room. Oh, hey, by the way, the plot just advanced where you guys weren't looking. Cool, thanks. And then they do the next thing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like, I missed the shit about things catching fire, apparently. But
yeah, it's one of the three rules at the very beginning in the, as you put it, gratuitous sci-fi mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it was. It was just like a giant exposition dump, and I'm like, ugh. And I think that was part of the problem, was like, I'm trying to RP and there's this exposition dump, and I'm like, I'm just turning my brain off at this point, because that's what the movie's expecting me to do. And like, normally, I'm very, very good at suspending my disbelief. Like, to the point where I have a really hard time criticizing movies the first time I've seen them, because I'm like, oh yeah, all of this makes perfect sense. And then someone has to tell me, well, but there was this plot hole and there was this plot hole. And I'm like, oh, I didn't notice those because I was just suspending my disbelief so hard.
Yeah.
Could not fucking do it.
Well, the problem is it's hard to suspend your disbelief, because suspending your disbelief means to hold it up in the air, but that just means that the belief
I knew you were
goes
gonna fucking make that
and with the reverse gravity. And if you're suspending your disbelief in reverse gravity, then you're going to catch on fire, and it just doesn't work.
I heard that joke coming a mile away.
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm not the cleverest jokester, okay? I mean, it'll be memorable to me for being shitty. Yeah. I actually like how this movie reminded me of... It actually was like Tales of Symphonia in more ways than just purely aesthetic. This world is separated due to cosmological forces beyond our control. We really wish we could fix it. But it also reminded me of Septerrator. It also reminded me of a little bit of Xenogears in some ways that I won't get into. Yes, there was. I don't remember... It also reminded me of not a pod game, but, you know, FF7. It reminded me of FF7. It also reminded me a little bit of FF8 in ways that if I didn't need to nap, I would go into. Yes, please. And yeah, you know, I feel like it has our vibe. I feel like it has our vibe, despite not being very good. Well, I guess that's part of our vibe.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I mean, the games we play.
We have played a number of games that I would say are
I feel like this is weird and dumb in a very RPG Book Club-esque manner.
Yeah, I'm very glad that we watched this and not Tenet. But so the last thing I wanted to say about the movie before we talk talk about Anachronox is so Donnie Darko was a pretty good theatrical release movie. But then people were like, oh, they didn't explain any of these mysterious forces, so we're going to do a director's cut that has like text on the screen that explains the crap that's happening, and it makes it 5 million times worse. This movie did that without releasing the original version. I think if it would have just been mysterious, weird stuff and you just had to figure it out, like just lop off the opening cutscene and just play the game itself, then it would have been a whole lot better of a movie, because I wouldn't have just been expecting it to all make sense. It wouldn't save it. It wouldn't be perfect, but I think it would be better.
Yes, absolutely. Just a very confused movie. You know, there's a bunch of movies out there where someone clearly had an idea and didn't properly understand the artistic steps that need to happen between making a cool idea in your head and something that's good. It's a hard process. I've never done it.
Like I've made movies, and I know that it's real hard to have the idea and actually make it. So good on them that this one had a hot chick and looked really cool most of the time.
Can we wrap up so I can go take Benadryl and go to bed?
Yeah, let's get you the fuck out of here.
While Maddy was vamping, I was trying to get the question that she was about to ask me, where we stop in an Anachronox.
Yep, I was going to ask you that.
All right, it is 27 hours long. There are 32 entries on Let's Play Archive, so let's take our time on this one because we deserve it. Let's do it in 8. So we'll just do the first 4. So episode 5, the beginning of it.
27 divided by 8. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So, there's a dude named Grumpos, and it looks like Grumpos joins the party. Yeah. So, yeah, we pick up Grumpos, and he joins the party. That's where we'll be stopping. So, no idea if that will make plot sense or if that'll be too long or whatever, because none of us have even seen this game moving before. So, excited to do that next week. Shout outs to Omega for being in our studio audience. If you want to be in our studio audience, this is now a thing that being a member of the Discord lets you do. Our main episodes and by request episodes and short and long cast episodes will all be recorded live, where you can sit in on us and catch us saying all of our heated gaming moments and cancel us for them. So if you want to do that, you can.
Come cancel us!
Yeah, yay! I'm realizing now that we're doing episodes live, all of my jokes about how we're always saying really problematic things and then you cutting them out, everyone can realize that that's actually a lie and we don't actually say problematic things, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah the truth is out. I am actually not racist against anyone except for elves, which aren't real.
Yes.
Excuse me. Have you ever been to Heidelin?
No.
If you're expecting more racism, I apologize.
Yes. So if you haven't found us on Discord yet, you can find links at our website at www.rpgbook.club. It has a link for our Discord. It also now, because I've been souping up the Discord, if you donate at any level, it automatically will send you an invite. So easy way there. But if you do donate, you can check out our Book Club no Kaseki series a month before everyone else gets to. We just finished the first game. We'll be diving into the second game starting next week, and I'm super excited for that because I had already played the first game, but I have not played the second game yet. So I'm excited to do that. But otherwise, yeah, just come say hi, see how the cheese is made, and until next time, I am Sam Allman.
I'm Elias Sailor Eli Worth.
I'm Maddy Wellen.
Toodaloo, folks.
Bye.
See you, buddies.
Bye.
My job, and the more and more I can deal with not getting my nap. But if we get in under an hour, then I'll get a 40-minute nap, which is like pretty good.
Yeah, it'll be fine because if I skip over a big chunk of plot, it won't make it any harder to understand.
That's true.
Yeah, that is a good point. I'm glad I wasn't the only one struggling. I was like, maybe I'm missing shit because I'm RPing at the same time. But
oh, I wasn't struggling. I thought it was boneheadedly simple. I mean, there were some parts that didn't make sense, but nothing that was... I mostly was like, this is such an overly simplistic plotline, nothing is happening. But, yeah.
Yeah, it's not that it made no sense, as in, like, random things happened. It all made sense. There just was like, nothing to it. So it was just a series of things that happened to these characters.
And you're just like, okay.